Yeah.
Okay, now let's see. So it should be on there now?
It should be.
All right, let me see.
We were having technical.
Look, there it is.
We were having technical difficulties this morning.
Awesome.
Okay, we're back and we're trying this. We had to move to get better reception, and that looks better. We're getting better reception. Jim's waving at us. Good morning, good morning. Oh, that's so much better. Hoop Love, can you see me? Can you hear me with no problem, with no issues? Awesome.
See Elijah in the background,
there we go. That's okay. You see Elijah back there. You can wave, Elijah. He just waved. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, we got people coming in. There we go. Hi, Chala. Hi, Jess. Good. Thank you, Hoop. I needed that. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Conversations with LaKisha. This is startup number 3. I had to start over this morning because the video wasn't working. I am not in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I am right here in Little Rock, Arkansas, in my favorite spot ever. Can you show your coffee mug, please? Guillermo's Coffee Shop. And I wanted this owl mug. I'm not even into owl, but I have a very good friend of mine, Michelle Fleck. She loves owls. So this is her owls. And we put that up there. Go share the video. I want to share 2 scriptures with you this morning before we get started. And one is this. It's Proverbs 17:17, and it says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity." And if you don't have good friends in your life, I'm going to encourage you this morning to go get you good friends.
Yes.
Like, having good friends is a necessity. I didn't think so. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about how important I've learned friendship. And then I've got one more.
So good.
I know, she's like, I know.
It's just good already.
It's important for you to understand it. And then the next one is Proverbs 18:24, and it says, "A man of man companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer to you than a brother." And it was talking about the friendship that we have in Christ and how essential and important that friendship is. So even if your friendship gang isn't strong, like even if it isn't strong, God is there for you. And I'm going to introduce you to my guest. This is my sister.
I love my sister.
This is Addie Langley. Addie, I'm going to talk a little bit about our friendship, but we were supposed to be in Baton Rouge with Doris Cheney, and I couldn't get there because of the weather. They have a tropical storm coming. And so I called Addie up last night, and I was like, Addie, I texted her first. I said, "What you doing in the morning?" And then I didn't text back for a while.
Wow.
But I love this. She texted next, and the next thing Addie said to me was, "You need me." She didn't really even ask a lot of questions. You just said, "You need me." And I think she could sense in her spirit I did need something. And so I started texting her back, saying to her, "Yeah, I do need you. I need somebody to come do coffee and conversations with me in the morning."
I could tell.
And she could.
Felt it in my
She
spirit.
knew I needed something. And so she tapped in, and when she tapped in, it was like, this is really cool. Like, this is really cool. And she called me, and I was writing. Don't ask that. Only she needs to know what I was writing about. I was writing, and as I was writing, she said, "Can I call you?" And as she began to call me, as I called her. And everybody knows, I don't know if you guys know this, I really don't like talking on the telephone. They know I will text them a million times before I have a long phone conversation. She's nodding her head.
Can I call you? Can we talk on the phone?
So she was like, "Can I call you? Can we talk on the phone and not text?" And so I called her, and I made this conversation, and I called her, and then we just began to talk. But one of the things the Lord really put on my heart today was to share about friendship and how important friendship is. And let me tell you something. I didn't believe in friendship. I didn't believe friendship was necessary. I didn't believe that friendship was important. I didn't understand how important people were to your life. I don't need a lot of people, right? I don't connect to a lot of people. And so in not needing or connecting to a lot of people, because I'm cool with myself, it'll sometimes make you alienate people around you or not understand the value of what being a good friend or having a good friend is. And I met you. Do you know when we met? Do you know when we met?
It was like 2013.
Okay. And at Agape?
It was at Agape.
And
I gave you a CD. I was like, "I got this really dope Christian hip hop, and I want you to listen to it." And she was probably like, "Okay."
She did. And so it's funny though, because music became our common ground.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have a lot of things in common. We have the Lord in common,
Right.
but we don't have a lot of other things. And she gave me a Molly music CD
Molly
also,
music. Yeah.
and introduced me to Molly music.
Yeah.
I had never been introduced to Molly music, and so she gives me this Molly music CD.
M-A-L-I.
M-A-L-I. If you don't know what Molly music
Go look
is,
them up.
and I listened to the Molly music, and I was like, okay. But it's funny too, because she really kind of pursued friendship with me, and I'm going to tell you why this is strange. I have been praying and asking the Lord to give me healthy friendships, right? Because I knew I didn't have them, and I've been praying. And so when she pursued me, I was like, I don't want to deal with this weirdo. I know you did.
That's okay.
I was like,
I'm
who
cool
is
with that.
this weirdo? Like, who is this weirdo pursuing me? But I'm gonna tell you, like, she just keeps trying to talk to me.
She said, I'm
Like, she just keeps trying to talk to me. But it wasn't. It was the Lord trying to expand me for me to be able to receive Him.
Yeah.
In all kinds of different ways. Like, we live in boxes for so long.
Mm-hmm.
We don't learn to receive people. But what was going on with you? Why did you want to connect with me?
I don't know. I was just drawn to you. I really don't. I just knew that I wanted to share this CD with you. I mean, I really don't remember. I just knew there was something that I really wanted to connect with you about. You know,
Yeah.
It must have been just the God thing, because I was definitely lonely and wanted that. I craved good, healthy friendships too. And it's interesting you said that, because that's what I wanted. And the Lord said, I'm setting you in a family. When He sent me to the churches that I met you at, and several other people, my husband being one of them, He said, I'm setting you in family. You know, I set the lonely in families. And,
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. She said He set the lonely in family. See, that's what I love about God. He has a way of meeting our needs in our darkest places.
Yes.
And it's funny because I have to watch people for a while. I'm not really good at receiving people at first, because I have to watch you. Like, I want to watch your character. I want to watch your consistency, because consistency is important. And so I
didn't even give you a chance for that.
No, she didn't.
Hey.
Yeah, and she was every Sunday. She's like, hey, girl, hey. And I was like, what is wrong with this chick? You know, and I would get in the car, and then the Lord said, you prayed and asked me to give you
I didn't even know that.
Healthy relationships. Yeah. You asked me to give you women of God. You asked me to put you around other women of God. And it didn't necessarily, and it had nothing to do with race or anything else. Right. It was just your personality was very different from my personality. It was so different from my personality. And it was like, what is wrong with this? Like, what is wrong with this? Why are you giving me this type of person? But I am so grateful that I slowed down enough to connect to you, because you add so much value to my life. And it's funny, because we are so different and our personality is so different. It's taken us some time to adjust to each other too. I will never forget something you did. She texted me one time, I will go quiet for a while.
I'm like, wait, did I do something?
I will go quiet. Like, I will go quiet for a while. That's just my personality. And she texted me one day, was like, she came into this whole speech, did I do something wrong? Like, what's going on? And I was reading the phone like this.
Like,
I'm like, I teach full time. I work, you know, I hadn't even started walking in the ministry. I had sickle cell. I said, I promise it's nothing personal. It's just I internalized so much. But I learned something from you too. I learned the necessity of learning to come out of myself for the people that we're connected to.
Yeah.
Like, you taught me that.
That's amazing, because you've taught me a lot. God has used you a lot to minister to in my life. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for God using you, we wouldn't have bought the house that we're in. I mean, there's just so many. It's so important to have the godly connections. When God hooks you up with somebody, to just go with it, even if it doesn't make sense, because He's going to use that. Just like He used it last night, you know, our conversation. And the first time we ever even talked, we talked for like 2 hours.
I agree.
And it's like, wow, I don't know why this happened, but then as you walk through the relationship and you stick with it, even when you don't understand, it's like, well, I don't get this, but then you feel the spiritual thing, the spiritual tug that God is doing, and then you see why. It's always like hindsight with God. It's like you see why He does stuff.
That's good. It's always hindsight. That's so important. It's always hindsight with God. We want to see, like, and when He's ordering our steps, it isn't laid out perfectly. It doesn't make all the sense. And it's funny too, because we have these common, but we complement each other. And I think friendships, sometimes we look for the commonality of being in friendships with people that were just alike. And God is trying to diversify us, and I know why now. He's trying to do it so that when we're at our lowest, or when we're at a moment where we need somebody just to make us laugh, or when we're at these moments, or we need another person's strength, He puts us in those relationships so that we fill in the gaps for each other. You don't need a lot of people that are just like you. If you get a lot of people that are just like you, then you're not filling in the gaps.
And you're really not going to grow that much. I mean, you know, like I was saying about when we bought our house, I mean, I would call you and I was like, oh, we found this house we're going to rent. And you're like, okay, that's cool and that's great, but
all in your business. All in your business.
But that's what, I mean, I call you my sister. You really are my sister. And so I felt like in that moment, God was using you as in the place of big sister. And like, okay.
And I am the big sister. And I remind her of that all the time. I'm the eldest. I'm the big sister.
Like, let's keep our focus here. And so, you know, God uses, like you said, filling in the gaps, is things that I wasn't seeing. And then you might be the only one that can tell me stuff the way you tell me stuff. Like, I was thinking about that this morning. Like, she's the only one that can talk to me certain ways.
What you mean? Like, how I talk to you?
Like, okay.
Like, how do I talk to you?
I'm going to need for you to just get it right, get it together. And
get it together.
No, and that was selfish of what you did and just telling me how it is. But I need that. Jess knows.
She is the big sister.
I need that, though. God knows what we need. He knows what we need. And He fills in the gaps if we allow Him. Even when it doesn't make sense.
No, and that's good. And I think sometimes we resist Him. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes we feel like, so if you are corporate or you whatever, then, and I'm not saying you don't have other people around you, but if you really aspire to have the relationships God has for you, He'll strategically put the people that you need and connect the dots. Last night, I was just in a place and God used her. And it's so funny because I'm so strong. And just a little strong, and because my faith is full, and because I walk in things with God differently, people often think I don't need to be encouraged. People think that I don't need to be prayed for. People don't think that I need sometimes somebody to lean on, and I have moments when I truly need someone. And last night you fell right in the sync. Like, she was so sensitive enough to the point where she was like, you know what, something is needed here.
I felt
and the thing that I love the most is when we were on the phone, you said, I feel in my spirit I need to pause and pray for you.
Yes, definitely.
God
showed me His heart for you. Like, like when you were talking, I was just listening. I was hearing what He was wanting to give you through a prayer. So I was like, you know, she's always praying for other people. Sometimes it's cool for her to receive some prayer too.
And it does. And I think it's the thing that people miss sometimes. But when you get outside of yourself and you build healthy friendships and healthy relationships, you get that. You know what I'm saying? And then,
iron sharpening iron.
And then that's very good. And she has only one son, and I have boys, and even our boys meshed. You know what I'm saying? Even our boys meshed. And it's funny because I remember Elijah was so giving, and he probably doesn't know how important that was for Judah. Because when he was at school for Judah, it was nurturing for Judah, because Judah was adjusting to the last year without having Josiah.
Praise God for that.
And so then Elijah, it was like Elijah came in place and was kind of like his big brother at school.
Oh, look at that.
And he
big
would bring
big bro.
He would bring Judah things to school. He was always bringing something. And Judah would come home and I was like, where did this come from? And he was like, Elijah. He had even brought him some shoes that were way too big. It was so funny.
He'll grow into them, okay?
But Judah was so excited to get those shoes from Elijah, but it was Elijah being in place for Judah. And so I think if we're really going to truly understand getting our needs met, one of the lessons I've learned is you don't determine what that package looks like. You don't determine who that person is if you're really going to believe God for what you need.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Don't you agree? And then you have a set of friends that are not my friends.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, don't you know so-and-so? Like, it's like I thought you knew the person because I know the person, but you didn't know the person.
Because I don't know people like
and
that.
It's like,
like
wait a minute. Okay, so I was just actually thinking about when you're talking about Elijah, how when we very first met you guys, Elijah had this monster truck, and I was just like, I don't know why, but we're gonna give this to Judah.
Yeah.
And so that kind of started that.
It did.
That seed.
No, and I think it was I just think it was what God was. I mean, I know it was what God was doing.
Yeah.
But what was it like for you to mesh with my personality and be honest? Because my personality is strong.
Honestly, it helps. Sometimes I am kind of like, well, what if, like, you see my face, right? Like, what did I, but it's good because I don't have to be so sensitive. Like, you can tell me stuff, and I need to be able to take it because you're just being honest with me. You're just being yourself.
Yeah.
And that is cool. And that actually helps me to learn how to just not be so sensitive about everything.
But you came from a fractured place where relationships were concerned.
Yes, and I still am working on the Lord is still helping me with all that.
And one of the things that I think you thought first was if we weren't in constant connection, then we weren't good friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You were like, if we are not in constant connection, she can't be my sister. She can't be that close to me.
Right.
And I think as you grew, you learned, no, she's still my sister.
Because we before last night, I think we hadn't talked for like a couple of months, maybe like actual on the phone talk. We text every once in a while, like checking on you, you know, how you doing, I love you, and all that. But and so just knowing that we can come back together, it's not you're busy, I'm busy. It's not personal, so we come back together and we talk like we just talked yesterday.
Yeah, and I think we take those things personal. Like if we're in not constant contact or if we haven't heard from that person, then we assume that in the relationship there's a problem, and there's not necessarily a problem. But what I have had to do is get better about explaining myself. I operate in my own zone for so long that I'm not good at saying, hey, I'm just busy. I'll ignore you, and it's not that I'm ignoring you and it's cool. It's ignoring you because I've gotten busy. But when you have relationships with good friends who need to connect to you, right?
Yeah.
You've still got to make just a little bit of an explanation of saying, hey, I'm not in a good place, or hey, I'm not in a mood to talk right now. It does not mean there's anything wrong with us. And I think when you love with the love of Christ or love with the love of God truly, then you can take that moment and not be so selfish.
Yeah. Well, and then after a while, once you get to know that person, you'll know, okay, ain't nothing wrong. We just ain't talked in a while. And and then what about offenses in a relationship? That's really important because you could say something to me and I could take it wrong. And I probably have before. Yeah, you have. Yeah, totally. Because I mean, I don't. And it's not just you. That's something that I do. Yeah. And so God is strengthening me through our relationship.
How hard has that been? Like, what have been the things that you've had to do for yourself so that you don't get offended?
I had to really.
Because your heart is real tender.
It is. Yeah, it is. Really, just honestly talk to God about it. Because He knows me, and really maybe communicate with the person, with you, or with the person who, because if I let something fester in my head and not say nothing about it, the enemy will make it way bigger and way wrong. You know? So if I communicate and say, hey, did you mean to say this way? Or, you know.
Because an explanation is better than anything. Like, an explanation is better than no explanation. And sometimes we feel like we don't owe people an explanation for some things, and I think we do. I'm bad about that. Like, I have evolved so much in having relationships with you, with Jess, with Teresa, with Vaughn, with Kiva. Like, everybody has such a different, but you guys are my core to my sister circle. And even though we don't talk all the time, you guys are still like my core to my sister circle. And you guys help level me out, and you guys help balance me out, and you guys have actually taught me the tender side of me. Does that make sense?
Wow.
Like, because you and Jess are real. Like, you and Jess are like in that same vein. Y'all are so tender, and I have become so hard by life
Well, because you had to hustle and do what you had to do. I mean, and I've been
The
there
hustle
too.
was strong.
Yeah,
The hustle was strong.
And that's probably another reason why God brought us together, is because, I mean, I was a single mom for several years, and before that I was on my own at 17, out just hustling and handling my business. So it's like, and God had to break a lot of that off of me. Like, I got this. I'm doing what I got. I mean, it was all about, I got this. And God was like, no, you don't. It's because of me. You know,
that you have it, and it has nothing to do with you. And I think if we put the right relationships in place and we get outside of ourselves, we will begin to see. Somebody, Natasha says, sometimes when you've been hurt by people who you love a lot, you're waiting on it to happen from the next people you begin to love. Tasha, that's real. So here's the thing. Part of my guard of not having a relationship or healthy relationships came from being damaged, right?
Came from being, used to say, I used to not have any relationship with women.
Yeah, because I felt alienated by women when I was growing up, young girls. I felt ostracized because my hair was real long. I talked different. Like, I felt really alienated, and because I felt alienated by women, I wasn't interested in having relationships with women. I really wasn't interested in having relationships with anybody because of the brokenness and because of the hurt I had experienced. Before. And people don't know, even my personality is strong. My friends know my heart is so tender. My heart is so towards God that the person that used to could tell you like it is and tell you it all off shouldn't exist anymore. And so I love people real big, and I love people from a real pure place. But the Lord had to show me, it's not them you're trusting. It's me you're learning to trust. It's me you're learning to trust. It's me that you're learning to trust. It's not them. It's me you're learning to trust. And if you're going to be this thing for real, if you're going to love your neighbor as you love yourself, if you're going to have sisterhood, then you don't get to have it with walls and boundaries. You have to let your guard down and trust me that even if something goes wrong, I'm going to be able to fix this circumstance and situation. And I run into women all the time who are like, I ain't got no good friends. I don't want no good friends.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
because it's hard to trust people, like you said. And I've heard that a lot from God. He says, well, you don't have to trust that person. You have to trust me. And then, I don't want to say I hold God accountable, but in a way I kind of do, because I'm like, okay, Lord, you said trust you, and whoop-de-whoop, this happened or that happened. I need you to handle it or show me how to see it. Where am I thinking wrong about this situation? Because my thinking is not, even though I like to think I'm always right, my thinking is not always right.
No, but it
not
will.
even close.
And then I think too, you need places where and it's good to have. I have solid male friendships and solid friends of mine that are guys that have been very good friends of mine for a long time. But there is nothing like my sisters. Like, there is nothing like my sister. You know what I'm saying? And there's just a connection and a nurturing that comes from being in connect with another woman who can feel your pain and who can tap into what you're going through and who can talk to you about circumstances. We've had some real deep conversations. Real deep. Like some real open, some stuff, real free. Now, anybody who's going to be in a relationship with me knows we're going to have some open, we got to be real, and we're going to have some open, and we're going to have some real conversations about life, and we're going to have conversations about where we were and what's going on. And I think for me, those conversations have been liberating. That was not as easy for you as first.
Really?
No, I could tell, like, you were cool. You were cool. You needed somebody to talk to, but I don't feel like you were like, I want to be open, but how open can I get?
Right. Well, because I think just getting to know somebody, like, okay, what can I really say that's true and real? That's not going to freak them out, because you never know. And like she said, being hurt by people because of being honest. You know, so if God is bringing the relationship together, then you learn that you're allowed that freedom. You know, if they're real people of God, if they really have a connection with God, then they're going to, even if they do say something hurtful, then they're going to come back to you and say, well, because God will convict them of it. But
that's good. No, that's good. I did a video once called "Isolation is the Trick of the Enemy."
Ooh,
You remember that? Like, isolation is the trick of the enemy. He wants you isolated, because if he can get you in a place of isolation, then he can play these mind games. Like last night when I was going through, had I not connected to you, I was going to do something either dumb. You feel me? And my mind was getting into this place, and God used you to come right in.
Yeah. Bring the light in.
And you brought the light in,
Yeah.
and I was able to rest, and I was able to be cool, and I was able to get in position, and I was able to stay steadfast. And he used, like, I knew the words when you were praying to me and speaking to me were
Yes.
divinely coming from him, and I wrote that down, and I'm like,
Yes.
man, Lord, you
Woo!
used her.
You know how many times I wrote down stuff that you've said to me?
Oh.
And you know how much stuff pops into my head all the time that
Yeah.
you say to me? Good stuff.
That's
Excellent
good.
stuff.
Thank you.
I hear you all the time in my head. I know that might be
Oh,
weird,
wow.
but as many
Oh, wow.
conversations as we've had,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
like, no ma'am. And then one time,
Wait a minute.
No,
What do you
ma'am.
hear in your
No,
head?
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Right. So I
No,
hear
ma'am.
you say a lot in my head, and I know it's God bringing it to me. When are you going to get serious about the things of God? You said that to me, and I was like, oh, okay. And that's the one I hear the most right now, and it's just amazing what God
And
has
it's
done.
so funny because we'll think we don't realize the words that our friends use, you know what I'm saying, that impact us.
Yeah.
I was writing this morning, and something that was said to me by one of my aunts. She's not really my aunt, but she is.
Yeah.
And one of the things she said was, you don't have any more time to waste.
Oh yeah.
And this morning I was thinking about the things that God was putting in place for me, and I started thinking, she's right, I have no more time to waste. I got books I got to get written.
Girl,
I got
yes.
events that I have to do, and I don't have time to be distracted. LaKisha, get focused. And here's the thing, it's not up to you for the people around you to get focused. It's up to you to be focused regardless of whether or not what's going around the people.
Yes.
Tawana said, I always feel judged and ostracized, and Tawana, that is a very hard place to be in. And so what we're gonna pray and believe God for you, right? What we're gonna pray and believe God for you is for you to have healthy friends that will allow you to be you. The things that I do love about my friends is we all allow each other just to be each other, and I'm very good at it. Like, you get to be my friend, and you get to be you.
You get to be you.
You get to be you. And like,
That's the freedom that I learned, that you're not going to try to, you might tell me something that you think that I could do better,
Yes.
but it's out of love. It's not
Yeah.
out of judgment.
yeah.
There's not I'm not trying to, I'm just saying there's not a lot of people like you. I mean, there's really not. I'm just saying that there's really
Thank
not.
you.
So when God puts somebody
Thank
in
you.
your
Thank you,
path,
baby.
when
Thank
you
you.
when you ask for people, He'll send people. And
That's
they're
good.
gonna be what you need, and they're not gonna make you feel that way. And if you know God has put someone in your life, and you're still feeling that way, then that's something that's inside of you, and God can work it out.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's something inside of you. And I think that's the thing too. We'll think it's easy for us to identify the other person as being the problem.
Yeah.
And it's really internal.
It is.
It's whatever insecurities you have. It's whatever problems you have.
Yes.
It's whatever issues you
Yes.
got. It's whatever things you haven't dealt with yourself
Yes.
that you bring into the relationship.
Yes.
But that also doesn't mean that you have to isolate yourself out the relationship. Because we've grown together.
Right.
We've gone through all kinds of issues,
Yeah.
problems.
Because if you're so real with me, there's a couple times I've been like, I can't handle this.
I'm not dealing with your realness today.
I can't deal with your realness today.
I don't need
I'm
realness
scared.
today.
What is she gonna tell me? What did I do?
Yes.
But it's always because I've been. Honestly, sometimes I've been afraid to be real about something, like, because I know you're gonna tell me, oh well, no, or I'm gonna
Or like
need
the
you to,
house buying thing. You were
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to rent.
yeah. Sometimes I honestly like, I don't know if I should call her and tell her this, but it's.
It's funny because the reality is like I'm usually in other places thinking about so many other things, but when I'm clicking through the Holy Spirit, or when you love somebody and you know, like, the best thing is like when you kept saying, oh, we just gonna rent. No, you're not gonna rent.
Right.
You got
I was
your credit.
terrified to buy a house.
You got credit. You
Yes.
got
A job.
You
A
have a
good
job,
job.
a good job that you've been on forever and
I'm a
day.
tither.
You're a tither.
God will
You better go
take
get your
care-
butt a house.
Right.
And you kept saying, no, I can't. And I said, yes, you can. And then I linked you with Teresa. Then Teresa
Yes,
put you in the same
yes,
place. And then you
Teresa.
bought your house.
Yes,
and I
God
was
did
over there
that,
like,
man.
oh my God. She bought her house. Like,
God is so
she
good.
bought
I never thought I would
her
buy a house ever.
Yeah, and you never even had your mind set
Nope,
into buying a
not at
house.
all.
But it's the same thing. And I mean, it's like what you did for me last night. I need something you used, one word you used helped me. and you don't even know it, and you were like, the Lord told you to tell me I wasn't stagnant.
Yes.
And when you use that word, and you kept saying you're not stagnant, things are moving.
Yeah.
And I was like, Lord, I needed to hear that, because there are some things I've been praying for him about, and I hadn't heard the answer. And then you brought me the answer last night, and I was like, okay, Lord, this is exactly.
God.
This is exactly what it is. Oh, that's good. Miss Vicky said it was in her, and she was learning to fix her broken box. It is. And I want you to know this, that it's learning to trust God and trusting the God in her. It doesn't mean she doesn't have error. And it doesn't mean I've always said things the best. I had to learn to become tender towards you, because you can handle me to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, yeah.
But I can't come full throttle.
Not yet.
I can't full throttle, not yet.
I'm getting there.
But I had to become sensitive to you.
Yeah.
To know you got to operate this personality a little bit different here.
It's interesting, because I had a boss, your family, Charlize. I had her tell me, I love her. I had her tell me one time, I can't treat everybody different. I mean, I can't treat everybody the same as a supervisor. Everybody's different.
Yes.
I have to treat them the way that they're going to receive it. So that's basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, you can't treat every one of your friends or the people in your circle the same, because everybody receives differently.
No, and everybody does. Like, I have friends who need more contact and to be able to be more accessibility. Yeah. I know that if you text me or you say you need to talk, I need to shift myself so that you can talk, because that means you need me at that moment. I have other friends I can text all day with no problem. Yeah. Like, I've had to learn to navigate around my relationships and treat each individual differently. It's almost like in dating also, right? Like, how I deal with the person that I date is different than I deal with my girlfriends. And I had to have that lesson. Like, Jermaine told me something. One day I was just going on and on and on and on and on and on. And he was looking at me, and then I looked at him and I said,
my husband's gonna like this.
I said, what's happening? And he was like, you need some girlfriends.
I remember you told me that.
I was like,
oh, wow.
He was like,
good.
You need some girlfriends. He said, I am your husband, and I'm cool with being your best friend, but some of this stuff is relationships that you need to have with a girlfriend.
I know my husband appreciates that.
And I had to learn to have girlfriend time and girlfriends, because my house is also very male dominated, to have relationships. But he also learned to get in and to be that friend when he needed to, and then kind of navigate. And he would go like, don't you want to go have dinner or lunch with your friends? Which meant for him, go connect to your girlfriends, because I'm your man. I'm not your girlfriend. It is wisdom. It is wisdom. And I had to learn that. Like, I had to learn the balance in the friendship. And anytime I feel like I'm getting out of balance, I go connect. And even my boys are funny. Like, last night, Josiah said, so you gonna get in this bed again? And not go anywhere. He said, every time you start out to leave or to go somewhere or go do something, lately you just been coming back, get in the bed, get your butt up out the bed. Like Josiah was telling me that. So I promised him this evening that I would go to dinner or do something, but I've been so focused on coffee and conversation and so focused on so many other things, I've been forgetting to take care of myself just a little bit. Like, I'm working out and stuff.
No, ma'am.
But forgetting
we're not gonna do that.
Forgetting.
I'm gonna pull a you. No, ma'am.
Forgetting to do the joyous part. You know, the things that I love, live music or museums or just out connecting to people, having the balance. And so I reminded myself today to pull myself back into balance. And so I'm going to do some things for myself. If you could leave them with anything just about friendship in general or about relationships, coming from a place that you've come through, what would you share?
Well, speaking from a place of having some really rough relationships.
Okay.
Get connected. I know that it's easier said than done, but however, and ask the Lord, where would you have me go? Because it might not make sense. Because if you do what you think, it might not be the right thing.
You said it may not make sense. What do you mean by that?
Well, first of all, you may not want to. If you've been isolated or if you've been hurt, you may not want to. Or where he says go, it may not be where you feel like you want to go. Like, this don't make sense of how this could be good for me.
Yeah.
But getting connected, and then I actually did a class. It was Journey to Total Freedom at a church I didn't even go to. God led me to that. For people who had been in, any sort of abusive relationship. God will show you where to go and what to do, but you have to be open to it, and you have to be brave.
That's good, and you are brave. So if you didn't know that, because you always think I'm brave, you're brave. Oh, really? You're very brave. I've watched you do the things that you need to do to make you better. Like, and I'm trying not to cry. I'm such a crybaby when it comes to my friends. But I've watched you get totally outside yourself to become the best wife, to become the best mom to Elijah, to become the best you. Like, I've watched you pursue the things that you needed to pursue to become a better you. And for me, that's courageous. And for me, that's brave.
Thank you. I didn't know.
That's brave. And so sometimes I don't get to say that to you, but that's brave. That's, for me, those are the people that become my heroes. That when you sit and you say, you know what, I could stay in this funk. I could stay in this mindset. I can keep being this person.
Yeah.
But what I'm choosing today is that this doesn't live like this anymore. And you have, like, we're gonna bring you back. You have a very unique story. I mean, and you've had some pain, and you've been divorced, and you had to trust and love and get married again, and you were this person, and you had this life. But you brave and courageous because you made a decision not to stay stuck.
Yeah.
And you made a decision to evolve. You could say, oh, I'm in my 30s, I'm never changing again.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I got to the point when I just gone through my divorce in 2010, and I had a duplex, me and my son. Everything was flowing, it was doing good, but except for my inside. I was miserable, I was lonely, I was empty. I was chasing after the things of the world, trying to fulfill it, you know, partying, clubbing, things like that. And I was still empty. And I finally said, okay, this is not working.
Yep.
I want more, and I know that there is more. And God actually used somebody to reach out to me. And I got a revelation of God's love for me. That was the very first place where it started.
That's good.
Because I realized it's not about don't do this, don't do that with God. It's about, oh my God, you love me so much.
Yes.
You are what I'm seeking, and I didn't even know it. All these different relationships, these different, you know, things that I was going after.
Yeah.
It was Him that I was needing, and I know that people have heard that, but it's real. It's so real. And then a lot of people may say, well, how do I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to find
That's
Him.
good, Addie.
Well, start where you are. You know,
That's
just
good.
seek Him. For me, music was a big thing. Just playing.
Because you had to change what you were listening to, period.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You
you
got
remember
rid-
the stack of CDs I
She
sent
got rid
you?
of all
A
her
picture.
stack of CDs that were
Oh,
negative.
yes.
That was putting negative energy
Yes,
in it.
yes.
She just threw them out. She was like, I'm not listening to anything that's not building
And that
me
was
up.
hard because I love my music.
Yeah,
like
me
all my
too.
stuff from back in school and
Yes.
all this, you know, I just specifically keep thinking about 8-Ball. I mean,
A-Ball
MJG.
and MJG.
Okay.
No, she likes music. Like, she likes stuff like I like too.
Erykah Badu. Now, Erykah Badu ain't
Nothing
bad.
wrong, no,
I mean,
no.
I love me some Badu. But I'm just saying, and I mean, it's not all.
Yeah, but just still.
God said, if you love music so much, I want you to, I'm challenging you to only listen to Christian music. And I was
Right
like,
now.
come on, Caleb, Lord, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Don't nobody want to sit and listen to
I mean,
Caleb
come
all
on,
day.
like, really?
Correct.
So, but I did it because I was like, I am desperate. Like, I'm so desperate. I can't live like this anymore.
Yes.
So I did the 30-day challenge, and I never went back.
Yeah.
Sometimes every once in a while
Some
I might
stuff,
play
good stuff.
something,
Yeah,
you know.
good stuff, good stuff.
But it's just that changed my life
Yes.
because I was pouring in positivity,
Yes.
pouring in God's love. He was
Yes.
showing me who He was
Yes.
through the music, something about music, and actually I was delivered from smoking. From it was Black and Milds, but it was
Black and
cigarettes.
Mild
before
cigarettes,
that,
yeah.
through a song.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember who it's by, but I need a worship experience.
I don't know.
Connection with your spirit.
Oh, that's good.
Empowered by your presence.
Go, Addie.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could sing a little bit.
So it's a gospel song. And so I just felt the Lord telling me, play it.
Yes.
Play it. And I got on my face and I was like, I got to stop. This is killing me.
Yes.
The smoking is killing me. So anyway, music is what God has used a lot.
That's powerful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on with your big
Yes.
sister. Thank you for
Yes.
coming at the log. This is my girl, Addie Langley. Like, she is my sister. She is my love. She has been such a blessing to me, and I'm so grateful for our relationship. So if you don't have, I read to you the first scripture about Proverbs, and the last part of that scripture says something so powerful. When it's adversarial, when there is something wrong, your brother or your sister will get right in there for you if you allow them to have those relationships with you. And this is one of the relationships that have impacted my life.
And be brave and reach out.
And that's good. She said, and be brave and reach out. And I have to do this because they know how I am about them. Her makeup is cool and her eyebrows look great.
Oh, I thought so.
No, she's great eyebrows today. So I'm like, ooh, from a sister point, ooh, I love your eyebrows. Because that's how I am. I'm always like, oh, your eyebrows, your makeup, okay, good. And sometimes I don't even have it on. I'm like, okay, she looks great. I was staring at her eyebrows the whole entire time. That's the girl in me. Like, oh my gosh, her eyebrows look so great. Okay, focus.
Thanks.
Wow. But I'm telling you, God is so faithful. I will see next weekend. Our special guest will be all of my ladies from Pillow Talk. I'm so excited about Pillow Talk next weekend. But I will see you back here Monday morning at 5 a.m. Remember, we've been talking about the proverbial woman. We're going to finish that up next week. And then we're getting into this study on men. And people are like, you're going to be a woman teaching about men? Yep, I've raised 5 sons. I've been married to a man. Right, I'm reading. Right. I have very good male friends. And I'm just going to share what put in my heart about this king that we need to see emerge in the earth. Still go share the video. I love you guys so much. Have a great Saturday. You know what I'm going to tell you to do? Go be love. Love, peace, and blessings.